Hello everyone and welcome to SmartStart Onboarding. My name is Anna and I'm a product marketing manager here at Smartsheet. Today we're going to help you get started as a newly licensed user in several ways. So for our agenda, first we're going to introduce you to Smartsheet at a high level. So really take a step back and talk about what Smartsheet is and how Smartsheet enables you to dynamically plan, execute, and report on work to move faster, drive innovation, and achieve more. We're then going to spend some time talking about the building blocks of a Smartsheet solution, so sheets, reports, and dashboards, and how they work together. And these components are really the keys to the work you accomplish in Smartsheet. We're then going to take these elements and see them in action with a Smartsheet solution demo. Before we finish up today, I'll also share additional resources for getting started on your Smartsheet journey. If you're joining this webinar today, you likely received a new Smartsheet license and were invited to learn about Smartsheet, or you might have joined one of my previous webinars or been invited by a coworker. Many of you might have already used Smartsheet as a collaborator before getting your license, or you might be completely brand new. So we're going to start by taking a step back and really talk about what is Smartsheet and how does it empower you to make an impact. Let's start by talking about how we work. So the way that work is done today has changed, and Smartsheet is really designed for this new workplace. More than half of work today is unstructured. In other words, it's work that doesn't fit into a purpose-built technology tool. So a large tool like an ERP or a CRM that really has a specific use case and a specific workflow. Many of the solutions used to manage unstructured work, so this work that doesn't fit into those larger tools, are built by business users these days. So regular marketing, HR, and business professionals rather than professional developers. Smartsheet is the platform for all of this dynamic work. So what does that mean for you? Smartsheet is here to empower you, your teams, and your organization to work the way you want to get things done. With Smartsheet, you design a solution that works the way that you need it to and adapts as your work changes. This gives everyone the ability to continuously make an impact. Smartsheet provides the building blocks and enables any user to design a solution that meets your unique needs. These building blocks enable you to collaborate, manage, and report on work in real time, automate workflows, and deploy new processes at scale. You can work with your team's existing technology, but are also empowered to design solutions that match the way that your team works, instead of changing the way you work to align with your technology. Smartsheet provides a dynamic work platform for a dynamic workforce. The Smartsheet platform includes powerful core capabilities, as well as pre-built templates and solutions, instructor-led training and professional services, premium add-on products, and also connects with your existing technology. Today, we're going to spend most of our time talking about the powerful core capabilities that Smartsheet provides, the building blocks to any solution regardless of your title, industry, or company size. We'll start by talking about sheets. And as you can tell from the title, sheets are the foundation of all of your work in Smartsheet. Sheets are also extremely flexible because, of course, you can turn a sheet into a solution for any type of work that you're managing. You can customize a sheet structure by indicating column types that drive additional sheet capabilities. Everyone can also work in their preferred view. So you can work in our grid view, which is the traditional spreadsheet, or toggle over to view all of your tasks on a calendar view, a Gantt view, or a card view. A sheet is also a single source of truth, so you can attach files and documents, proof, mark up, and review these items, and also approve and capture conversations for each row in your sheet. Sheets also have all of the collaboration elements that are important in Smartsheet, so automating workflows, collecting data with forms, and really acting as the underlying data for the work that you're going to see in reports and dashboards and other Smartsheet items. Reports provide a dynamic way to work in your sheet data, and they do that in several ways. Reports enable you to bring together information from multiple sheets into a single view, and you can also choose exactly which data from the report is included by customizing columns and adding filtered criteria. In other words, an example of this might be a report that shows all of the tasks across multiple sheets that are due in the next couple weeks. Or maybe a report that shows all of the at-risk items across your projects without showing all of those other rows, so you can really focus on what needs to get done. In addition to showing all of this data in a single place, reports actually help you understand the results. So you can group data by common values and summarize with functions. And the great thing about functions in reports is you don't actually have to write a formula. These are pre-filled functions, so you can really summarize and understand the work that you're doing. Our third Smartsheet item is a dashboard. Dashboards provide a real-time view that combines sheet data, reports and report data, and external content all in one place, and they're fully customizable. So you can create a dashboard really for any purpose, for any audience, by including what's important. I've talked a little bit about how sheets, reports, and dashboards work together, and just to really see it all in one place and understand these relationships, the sheets are going to be the core of all the work that you do in Smartsheet. So anything that you want to start or track is going to be kicked off in a sheet. Reports then allow you to create custom views of the data in your sheet, bring together data from multiple sheets into one place, and also filter, group, and summarize to really understand the information in a report. Dashboards then are a view into any of this information. So you can include data from your sheet, you can include reports or information from a report, you can chart and really visualize information from either source, and also add in other content. So formatting, text, images, videos, forms, and more, all to make sure that the dashboard you're creating is providing the right information to the right people. We've focused so far on the three main Smartsheet items in your toolkit, but an integral part of any solution, especially in Smartsheet, is collaboration. Any of the three items that we've talked about can be shared directly. So if you share an item to an internal or external user, define permissions, they can access that item anytime. Smartsheet also offers additional ways to collaborate. So you can create a form to intake data for a survey, for a request process, and for a lot of different use cases. You can include automation to send alerts and reminders and request updates. And you can review content, so including files and approval processes, all still within the structure of a sheet. Today, we're going to really focus on a single Smartsheet workflow so you can see all of these items in action. And as I mentioned, we do have additional webinars in our SmartStart series that focuses on sheets, reports, and dashboards, as well as a separate webinar that talks about all of these collaboration options so you can really understand the best way to collaborate for any scenario. Now that we've reviewed these different elements that can be used to create a Smartsheet solution, regardless of the type of work that you're managing, let's actually head into Smartsheet and we'll do a demo that incorporates these different elements. We'll then come back to our slides and I'll spend a couple minutes sharing some resources as well as information about how to register for these upcoming dedicated webinars for our various topics. For our workflow, we're going to look at how to use Smartsheet for Project Management Office or a PMO solution. This is going to incorporate forms, sheets, reports, and dashboards, But as we look through all of these capabilities, the important thing to keep in mind is that Smartsheet is really flexible. So although we're working in a PMO scenario, any of the capabilities that you see and learn about are going to be applicable regardless of what type of work that you're going to be managing in Smartsheet. When you're getting started in Smartsheet, I always recommend starting in the Solution Center. When you're signed in the left panel, just click the plus button and you can search or browse for a template or template set that will give you a pre-built solution to manage your work. With a Smartsheet license, these templates and template sets are available for you to create your own items. When I found the template that I want to use, all I need to do is click on it, select Learn More, and you're going to be taken to a setup guide. And this is going to include all the information you need to really understand the different elements that are in your solution. And a template set is going to give you more than a single item. So if you see the word template, you're going to have a sheet. If you have a template set, you'll likely have several sheets, reports, and a dashboard to manage that particular solution. Here I have the folder that's going to include the sheets, reports, and dashboards that we're going to be looking at today. And our PMO office workflow is going to kick off with a project request. So we're going to use a Smartsheet form to request a new project. We're going to see how this adds a row to a sheet and also triggers an automation. And then we'll actually look at a separate sheet as well as a report and a dashboard to really understand those next steps and how to manage the details of that work. We're going to get started then in this sheet called the Project Intake Sheet. Well, I am accessing this sheet directly because I have created and I own the sheet, or someone might access it directly because I've shared using the share button in the top right. This sheet is actually created so we can use a form to intake project requests. To create or view forms, you can just head up to the Forms menu. The form that we have as part of this template set is going to be pretty straightforward. So we're just asking for the name of the project, the type of project, as well as the project sponsor, any relevant dates, and any relevant attachments. And because we're talking about projects, this might be something like a project charter or a slide deck with information about the project. But of course, if you're submitting a design request or an IT ticket with a form, any other scenarios, you can attach those relevant files and really request the information that's important by configuring your form. If you're looking to create a form for your process, we go a little bit more in depth about the structure of creating a form, how to share a form, and more in our SmartStart collaboration webinar. I'll go ahead then and submit this new project request. And back in our project intake sheet, I just need to refresh to see the new row has been added. Now this sheet was set up with a column structure that came with our template set, but is customizable. So I can always change these columns, move them around, add or remove columns to really make sure I'm requesting the information that I need, and of course create a form to match. What I want to talk about here is we've so far had a sheet that we've talked about sharing directly or using a form. And the last thing that I want to show you before we move on to our other items in this solution workflow is how automation can help us. When we have a new request, whether it's for a project or other types of work, I can either keep an eye on this intake sheet and refresh it multiple times a day to really be aware of when new projects are being requested, or I can actually set up a Smartsheet automation to let me know if a new row has been added or to let me know if new work is being assigned to me. All of the automation in our workflow is going to live under our automation menu. Automation is also something we go in depth into in our Collaboration SmartStart webinar, but today I want to just see this in action. So what I'm going to do is actually assign this new project to myself. And I have an automation rule that's going to automatically let anyone in our project manager column know when a new row has been assigned to them. Automations, as well as other important Smartsheet notifications, can be found in our notification center. So I now see that a new project was assigned with all of our important project details. And as the sheet owner, I didn't have to do anything extra. So as these requests come in and we assign a project manager, we're automatically going to notify Lori, we'll automatically notify myself and anyone else whose name is in this column. Let's head back over to the template set that we've downloaded. We can do that by opening our left panel menu. Here, I'm going to see all of the recent items I've worked in Smartsheet. And one thing I'll point out is that you can pin items to the very top if you'd like them to always be on your recently opened. And there are going to be icons here to make it easier to understand when you're looking at a sheet, a dashboard, or a report. You can also favorite items also in our left panel, so just easily selecting that star to add it to your favorites list to be able to find the items that you work in really easily. We're going to head back to our Browse section, and this again is where all of the work that you manage in Smartsheet is going to be saved. So we'll head back into the template set that we downloaded. So far, we've looked at our project intake sheet, and now that we're ready to talk about actually managing this project, we can look at our project level folder. Here, our template set has a project plan sheet, and our project plan sheet includes some of the typical columns that you're going to see in a sheet, regardless of the type of work that you're managing. So, for example, our task name column is our primary column. The primary column is where you're going to indent and outdent and really organize your work. In our case, we've created these indents to have a hierarchy and to roll up information by project phase. We also have a symbol column to visually illustrate the status of each of our rows, as well as the drop-down status and work that's being assigned. So a contact list column where we can assign work to different members of the team. And this is going to power some of those additional collaboration capabilities like automation. We'll also track dates and other information related to accomplishing these tasks on time. So this is a very basic project plan, and you can continue to add or change columns to make sure that you're tracking all of the information that's important for the type of work that you are managing in Smartsheet. In a sheet, it's also important to look at the left and the right sides of the sheet for additional capabilities. So in our left column, we have attachments where we can attach files and documents really to connect them easily and make them easy to find for each of the tasks in our sheet. And we can have conversations, so I can actually capture notes, even mention other members of my team to provide notes and have conversations that are treating our sheet as a single source of truth. So rather than having a conversation outside of Smartsheet, we're capturing these conversations in Smartsheet, so our notes are exactly where the work is being done. Lastly, we have our proofing column, which is where we can attach files, actually mark up those files, provide commentary, and track versions, as well as request approvals for any type of content. So whether you are working on images as the design team, or whether you are in construction or legal and reviewing contracts, any of that can be done in our proofing column. To the right of our sheet structure, we're going to find some of the items we already looked at, so conversations, attachments, and proofing. And we'll also be able to publish our sheet, making it accessible at a public URL. So if I share this URL, this sheet is going to be visible to anyone, just like a website would be. And an activity log, which is a running list of all of the actions and changes that have taken place in my sheet. One important thing that I do want to point out is our sheet summary. And a sheet summary is a fully customizable section where you can capture anything important about the sheet. This can be an explanation of what a sheet does. It can be key high-level metrics like project completion, important dates, who's in charge of the project, and it can include links or formulas. So you can see, for example, I have a couple formulas included that are tracking how many tasks fall under each of our statuses. And all of this information is information that can be surfaced in a Smartsheet dashboard or a report. You'll also notice a few different icons down here that you might not see in your own Smartsheet, and these are related to connectors. So working with 10,000 feet, Dynamics, Jira, and Salesforce to automate data between different tools. At the top of our sheet, we're able to create filters to really focus on different types of views in our data, as well as toggle views. So the grid view is our spreadsheet view that we're looking at right now. And of course, we have a Gantt view, which is very common when managing projects, as well as a calendar view to view all of the dates in our sheet. And then lastly, a card view, which is going to organize all of our rows in a swim lane fashion. Now that we've looked at how a sheet is structured and the different elements of working in a sheet, let's actually head back to our template set that we're working in and talk about that next important Smartsheet item, which is reports. Reports really have several different purposes. One purpose is it can actually bring together data from multiple sheets, and another is that it can provide a filtered, really pared down view of your sheet data. So if you have a sheet, especially where you're scrolling left to right a lot because you have a lot of columns, you can create a report that only shows the columns that are important to you. Or in our case, our template set came with a task roll-up report, project milestone report, as well as an overdue report, which we'll look at. This report is including data from our project sheet, which you can tell under our sheet section. We've chosen to include just 6 columns from that sheet just to really focus on what's important in this report. And we're using 2 filters to make sure we're only looking at rows that are overdue and actionable. So I know anytime I pick up this report, it's only going to show me tasks that are overdue, and we can focus on getting those done. Reports are 2-directional, so not only am I getting this view into exactly the data I need, I can also come in here and make updates, and any updates that I make will be represented back in that underlying sheet. As I spin up new projects, because remember, this is for our PMO office, so we're going to be kicking off one project after another, I can come back into the sheet section and add those additional sheets or select a workspace. So when new projects are added, they'll also be represented in this overdue report. And I can view and update all those projects from a single place. This report, as well as any of the sheets that we're using to manage our work, is the source of data for dashboards. In our template set, we're working with 2 different dashboards. So we have a single dashboard called Project Tracking and Rollup, which is a dashboard that represents some of that detailed information related to the one project we're working on. Dashboards are fully customizable, so I've chosen important information from my sheet and my sheet summary, as well as embedded a few reports, added in important project contacts and shortcuts, and I've created a visualization with some of that underlying data out of my sheet summary. Our template set actually comes with a different dashboard, and this is something you'll see commonly. It's creating multiple dashboards to look at the same data in different ways for different audiences and for different purposes. This PMO portfolio roll-up dashboard is a high-level dashboard. So instead of reporting about just our one project, this dashboard is going to actually give us a consolidated view of any projects we currently have, any projects that are at risk, as well as a list of those projects and links we can include to any documentation, reports, sheet, and formatting widgets made up of text, images, and more. So far, we've looked at the flow of this template set, which kicks off with a project request into our project intake sheet. We are assigning a project manager who is then able to create a project plan to really work on the details and dates and assigning tasks to drive the project to completion. And we have several reports and dashboards to really communicate what's going on in that sheet. So reports to create really focused views, and dashboards to bring together exactly what's important from our sheets and reports and couple that with text, images, forms, and external content in a dashboard for the project and the entire portfolio. One additional Smartsheet item that I want to mention is a work app. And you can see work apps over here under the Browse section at the very top. Work apps are a way to bring together all of these different Smartsheet items. So our solution you saw already had several sheets, several reports, several dashboards, as well as a form. And rather than having all of the different items in Smartsheet and having to favorite or remember where all of these are saved, you can have a work app created that puts all of these items in one place. So with the work app, I'm able to go to a single location and I can access the dashboard, the form, the intake form, and the reports. And as the creator of the work app, I can even create custom views. So different views, of course, for someone who is managing a program versus someone who's an executive and needs to know KPI level data about that program, as well as someone who might be more in the details and really just completing tasks, updating statuses, and more. With this solution, we've seen how different Smartsheet items work together. So we saw a workflow in action. But of course, if you're here with a new Smartsheet license, what's going to be important to you is actually how do we create these items and understanding some of those more detailed and step-by-step information to make sure you can create your own solution in Smartsheet. As I mentioned at the start of our webinar, this is the first onboarding of a multi-session onboarding series. In addition to these live webinars, we also have step-by-step help articles and short summary videos for any Smartsheet capabilities in our Learning Center. And you can find additional templates to use Smartsheet for other solutions, not just project management, in the Solution Center. If you or your team are looking for instructor-led training, Smartsheet certification, or to work with our professional services team to have someone build a solution for you, all of that is available as well, and you can find all that information here on our resources slide. Now, we have come to the end of our time today, and I want to thank everyone. I know we covered a lot of different topics today, so I do hope that you'll visit our Learning Center, register for some upcoming webinars to dive deeper into these various topics, and I'm excited to see where you'll take your Smartsheet journey.